Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, brothers and sisters, and everyone listening on the World Wide Web and beyond. This is the Global Reality with your host, Josh Reeves.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the Global Reality right here on the Global Reality Radio Network with me, your host, Josh Reeves. Thank you very much for being with us. This is the Monday, September 14th, 2015 edition of the broadcast. We've got some various news items to discuss with you here on the show. And as usual, you never know where the topic of conversation will go, so we'll let it take us wherever it takes us. So thank you very much. My website, theglobalreality.com. All things pertaining to me happen there at the website. And also check us out on Facebook. We have a new Facebook page that we're I wanted to phase the other one out, but it's just hard to get everybody to, if they're already on one, it's hard to get them on another one. But we have another one, and you can find links to it up there. It's Josh Reeves, filmmaker, radio talk show host, and explorer. It's another page. And also we have the regular Global Reality page. So we post current things, updates and stuff there. That's where you can find all of that info, and the current shows get posted there as well. As well as all our other important items. I didn't mention, on the last show, that all month long, some of you may have know this already from seeing it on the Facebook pages, but all month long this month, in tribute to our 8-year anniversary, 8 years of broadcasting here on the Global Reality, you can get all of my films, all the downloads, all the downloads of my films in the download store, from 9/11 New World Rising to The Secret Ride Volume 2, to The Lost Secrets of Ancient America Volume 1, to The Lost Secrets of Ancient America Volume 2, all of them. They're all up there. They're all $8, only $8 this month for those downloads. And that's a smoking deal. So go and get those. If you don't have all my films yet, you can go get all the high quality. These are the super high quality versions, only $8 this month. And then we also have just previously or recently launched the multi-pack, which has all my films in it, which are in a smaller quality than we've offered before. But they still look ridiculously good, and especially on a phone or a tablet or something. So. And that's $35 for all the films in one package there. So go check that out, as well as all our audiobooks. Our most recent audiobook was Our Story of Atlantis, which is just really good. If you like the Lost Secret stuff and all of that, you definitely want to check that one out. You can get it in a 3-pack as well with 2 of the other Atlantis readings that we've done here. Atlantis, an Interpretation by Manly P. Hall, Atlantis and the Giant, and, of course, the aforementioned Our Story of Atlantis. All 3 of those are essential listening, and you can get all 3 of them in one pack. I mean, it's $10 each for the audiobooks, but you can get all 3 of those in one pack. I think it's like $20, so hey, go and get it. I have been not doing as many shows over the past several weeks because I've been working on my newest film, The Spellcasters. I've made some significant headway. I'm really happy with the progress that I've made so far. It's not done yet, but I'm thinking I probably only have about another month out of being done. But I'm also not going to be taking any more breaks here unless, they're just flat isn't material to cover. So I'm glad I have done less shows. At some point about a month or so ago, I had to make the decision if I was going to keep doing shows every day or jump over and work on just the film for a couple of weeks, and I had to do that. Otherwise, I'd be so far behind now. But I did make some more good headway. But as for now, we're back here broadcasting. So thank you very much, and thank you for being with us. And yeah, this is our 8-year anniversary. 8 years. We're celebrating 8 years of broadcasting. We started this show at the end of September 2007. And I've been on about 1, 2, 3, 4, I don't know, 5 or 6, 7 different networks before starting my own in 2009. And, usually we have the monthly fundraiser to cover the bills. And last month I had this idea. I said, public radio does this thing. I always hear it on public radio here locally. They have their, they're totally, they don't have commercials, and they're totally funded by the public, by donations and whatnot, same as we are. And they do their fundraiser like 4 times a year. So, they do it once. They have a set amount they need to operate for those 4 months or whatever, and then they do it again after that. So I thought for our 8-year anniversary, we've never tried that. I thought we might try that this month and see if that works or not. So far, we haven't gotten much in, and be honest with you, we're running on fumes here. We've been running on fumes. We barely scraped by the first of this month, but so far we've gotten virtually nothing in. I mean, somebody just put $7 in there just to get it started, and nobody's put anything else in there since then. And we have a lot of perk packages on this. It's the same thing as we usually have every month, the highest contributor. This month is a totally different game changer, though. Whoever contributes the most this month is going to get a massive prize pack, the biggest thing we've ever offered. And someone had a question about, yes, you can stack contributions if you want to, if you want to buy something from our Etsy shop and you want to, buy stuff from there, or buy or make a contribution to the operating costs or whatever it is, we'll stack those. Meaning, at the end of the month, everybody who's contributed more than once, I'll add all of them up. Whoever has the highest amount will get the ginormous 8-year anniversary prize pack we're going to offer with a lot of special surprises in there. It's going to be really worth your money. So please go and support our work there for our 8-year anniversary. We want to try this experiment. We want to raise all the money this month that we need to operate for the next 4 months, so that for 4 months I can focus on doing the radio show, making the films, and not fundraising at all. That means I don't have to get up here and tell you to support our work and do all that, just as an experiment. Because if it works, and it becomes a more enjoyable experience both for me and you, the audience, then that's what I think we should do all the time. So that's why this month our amount is larger than it normally is, because we're trying to acquire everything we need to operate for the next 4 months. So that's because none of us, me, not the audience, none of us have ever experienced that. And I often wondered, what would it be like? I imagine it would be awesome. It would be incredible. It would be amazing for me. Because then I can focus on the task at hand, which is the information, the research, reading all this stuff. It takes away, it's a detriment to my work having to worry about every month if we're going to be able to afford to make it to the next one. So here on our 8-year anniversary, I thought, what a better time to do it. Let's try it. Let's get the audience together. Let's get everybody, on the same page on this. And so if we can reach 100% of our goal this month, we can have 4 months here of the global reality with no fundraising, no monthly goals. We'll have everything we need covered for the next 4 months, and we could see what that's like. I mean, just to have me focused and have shows where I'm just talking about that and never have to hear any fundraising. I think it would be an amazing thing. And the worry, off of my mind of having to worry about it, because it's just, it's a detriment when you're trying to get this work done. Because I'll tell you, this stuff requires a lot of concentration, a lot of focus, especially filmmaking. The rest of the stuff, doing research and learning and all that stuff, that doesn't require a great deal of focus and concentration. But when you're a one-man machine like I am, doing everything, researching, writing, editing, then scavenging all the material to piece together this giant 5 billion piece jigsaw puzzle that eventually becomes a film. And that's really what it's like. It's like putting together a 5 billion piece jigsaw puzzle. Sometimes if you don't have to have the right piece, you have to create the right piece that fits. Because that's something I encountered a lot during my Secret Ride films. Sometimes you have information, but to put that information to a film, you have to have a picture or something visually, or a piece of footage to make it compelling to go with the information that's here. But sometimes in some of these subjects, man, there aren't pictures or video and stuff of some of the things you might get into and talk about. It becomes difficult. So I think just being able to focus on the tasks at hand for just a short period of time would be incredible. So anyway, please go to my website, theglobalreality.com. The banner is there on the right-hand side of the page. If you double-click that, it'll take you to the actual fundraising page, and you can see all the perks that we have up there available. And we have quite a few, from 100 down to 1,000, into 2,000 up to 4,000. So whatever you contribute, you will get the big pack. So go there and do that, please. And again, we really are running on fumes, and the time is now. We've got to get everybody throwing in something, because last month was terrible. It was horrible. We barely made it through. We didn't get anything in the middle of the month. We got some the first of the month, the end of the month, and now it's the same thing again here. And the bottom line is, if we don't get support, we don't give them what we need to continue. If we don't get something in, we can't continue. And everybody swore a few months ago, when I got this back up and running again, that it wasn't going to be a problem. It was all going to be handled every month. And people very rarely do what they say they're going to do. That's been my experience. All right. Let's get into the news here. We, everybody's talking up and down still about the alleged coming apocalypse. I still think it's funny all this stuff is coming from, religious sources. That right there should tell you everything you need to know about this stuff. But I did, as I said, find it very interesting that CERN thing, with the 9/23/15, when you put that into Google Earth and it takes you to CERN. And then I saw this article and I went, oh, wow, well, that's, I swore I heard not very long ago, a month ago, that maybe it was disinfo, I don't know, that CERN went down again and it wasn't operational. But that's not what they're saying now. In fact, right now they're running this thing at a higher energy capacity, maximum capacity. They've never done that before. So I find that fascinating. I was talking about from the very beginning, even before CERN, back in 2008, I started talking about CERN and talking about how I thought, just from all the indicators, that this thing was some kind of a portal. If you watch, there's a little mini film I made in my Reality of Illusion series of little mini films I made for YouTube. And I have one up there on YouTube called The Norway Spiral. If you've ever seen that, then you'll know what I'm talking about. If not, go check it out. I actually have footage in there of the director of CERN admitting, folks, on camera, that the CERN is a portal. He said, we were surprised. I'm paraphrasing here, but he says something. We were surprised to find that you could put something through the CERN, through it to the other side, but we were also surprised to find that things could come through it to our side. And he openly talks about it being a portal. So I've known from the very beginning this thing seemed like it was some kind of a Stargate. They originally wanted to build it here in Dallas. I've talked about that before. That's very fitting. That's very interesting to me. They wanted to build it right smack dab on the 33rd degree parallel. And, of course, the CERN logo, which has 666 in it, and the big Shiva statue, god of destruction they have out of it. Well, again, if there's nothing to this, and I don't believe, I'm not one of those people that believes there's some kind of cataclysm or thing again, there may be, but really, honestly, if any sort of cataclysm of that level is going to happen, it doesn't matter how much preparation. If something bad's going to happen, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. You're going to make it or you're not. And if you made it this far, I believe. See, that's why I have a different standpoint and a different look out on things than everybody else out there. Because I believe that if you and me and everybody else have made it this far, if we've made it all the way to September the 14th, 2015, then we've made it this far. Think about everybody else that hasn't made it this far. Every single one of us that are alive right this moment on this planet are here because something wanted us to be here. If we weren't, if it wasn't, we'd already be dead. So we're here for a reason. Are we supposed to believe that we've made it this far, we've all survived and lived this far, just so we could be one of the ones wiped out in the cataclysm? I have trouble believing that. I really do. Really have trouble believing it. I have trouble believing, especially all the things I've experienced in my life, where I probably should have, near misses and weird, strange things where I probably should have been dead, but for some reason, something kept me alive to keep going. And I just don't believe that you and me and everybody else have made it this far and survived this long, to be wiped out by some fucking shit-pocalypse, whatever crap they're calling. But again, all that aside, the Google Earth thing with CERN, pointing to CERN, did fascinate me. It was very interesting because I started thinking about the idea of, this opening this portal and, these whatever demons or aliens or who knows what coming out of this thing, all hell breaking loose. But then reading that conveniently right now as we speak, CERN is running at a higher power rate than it's ever ran. Conveniently right now around this date. That's something that gets my attention. If there's nothing to it, hey, okay, but these are, these are a lot of coincidences, and when you look at this stuff for a long enough period of time, you start to realize coincidences don't exist. Scientists built the most powerful physics machine on Earth to study the fate of our universe, and it may break the laws of physics, from Business Insider. Right now, the most powerful physics machine ever constructed by man is running at maximum power after a major upgrade that took 2 years to complete. And recently, 2 different experiments reported that they may have discovered a particle that behaves in ways that cannot be explained with any existing physical laws, as Scientific American reports. Shown below is one of 4 major detectors that are crucial to the machine's purpose. The Large Hadron Collider slams beams of subatomic particles traveling at more than 99.9999% the speed of light together in the most energetic head-on hits you can imagine. The heaping piles of scientific data generated from these powerful mashups and seen by giant detectors like the one in the picture above is enough to fill 100,000 dual-layer single-sided DVDs each year. And this data is fueling countless science projects across the globe conducted by more than 10,000 researchers, engineers, and students. See, that's my question. Think about how much data that is. It's just like Google and everything else. I think whatever the name of the massive supercomputer system that's running the planet, whether it be, the Caesar 3 or Caesar 4, whatever incarnation they're on now of those things. That's what I think so much of this stuff is for. Our humans are not going to sit there and sift through that much data. That's an insane amount of data. These particle detectors built into these facilities like CERN, produce enough data to fill 100,000 dual-layer DVDs a year. So 7.5 gigs times 100,000. It's a lot of data. So that's why I think these supercomputer systems that are, that just crave data are the ones that are crunching a lot of this information, a lot of the data that comes across with these machines. these project probe and test the fundamental laws of physics that govern our understanding of the universe. And given the latest discoveries, could it be that with his tremendous power and mind-boggling technology, that the LHC has broken the laws of physics and given us material with which to expand on new theories? The results still need to be confirmed first. And, again, these are just the things. These are the things they're telling us this thing does. Now, this is what they're admitting to. Every project of this size that costs this much to do always has a publicly funded face and a publicly funded explanation, and then a secret, non-public, or black budget purpose as well. They always have that. That's what the HARP facility had. They sold it. I mean, think of this. Why? This is what was hilarious about HARP, especially when it first got created, because it was created by Arco Oil, as it was designed for earth-penetrating tomography and be able to find oil wells and stuff like that. It was an oil company that came up with this idea. But then, of course, it was sold to military contractor. I think it was originally sold to E-Systems first, and then they basically spun it as this high active auroral research project. Wait a minute, what in the hell do oil companies and military contractors, what interest do they have in studying auroras? Nothing. It's BS. That was the front cover story. And I think that's the same way with CERN. But again, the guy from CERN, the director of CERN, and his comments about basically admitting that thing is a portal really says to me everything you need to say. End of the world fears sparked by blood moon and meteor strike prophecy. From the Independent out of the UK. Minority Christian groups have predicted the world will end later this month when they say a blood moon will bring about an apocalyptic meteor strike. Here we go. Boy, I love this. It just seems like they're trying to come up with any fucking thing they could think of. That way, if one little thing happens, they always see this. I saw this same kind of thing happen in the truth movement and research community for years. People who every other week are predicting some cataclysm or some false flag event or something's going to happen, just so to serve their own sick ego, so in case something happens, they can say, "Oh, I predicted," and I've predicted stuff many times that has happened, and I'm not proud of it when I predict it and it happens. I mean, it doesn't make me joyful or happy to know that I predicted something. It makes me sick to my stomach, and I wish it wouldn't happen. It happens a lot. But there are a lot of people out there who just want to be able to say that they predicted something to try and get glory from it or something. And let me tell you, it's not good to be right about this stuff. So there's people that are just throwing darts at a fucking board, Dogs and cats living together, fucking rain of frogs, meteorites, fucking solar storms, shit storms, fucking shit typhoons, whatever. Just in case something remotely happens in that, and they can say, "Oh, I predicted it. I'm the Messiah. I'm a fucking prophet." And it's sick shit. Because I saw that a lot. I used to see that a lot on other radio stations that I was on in the past, other hosts. Yeah, I mean, there were some hosts that were every other week they were predicting some fucking, major event was going to happen. And the reason they could do that, and the reason why, it was somewhat believable, is because what you start to realize after you look at this stuff long enough is that there are indicators that things are going to happen all the time. Just like prior to 9/11, that's why there was, a lot of people that were able to predict that 9/11 was going to happen. It's because if you were paying attention to what was going on before 9/11, you saw the signs. if you were already unplugged from the matrix and were looking at this type of research, and not a lot of people were compared to now, I can tell you that. I didn't predict or think that 9/11 was going to happen beforehand, but I knew something was, because, again, it was that feeling, but that doesn't always mean for sure something's going to happen. But because there is that constant thing anytime, constant indicators that some event could happen. There are certain people who have, they have no sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? No shame, really. So they'll just predict stuff willy-nilly every other week. I mean, Alex Jones, that guy, I mean, the only reason that guy is even still around is because he's funded from the top down. Central Intelligence Agency, the whole boot. The guy is connected to the very top. I mean, I saw some video some listener sent me of him saying, "Folks, I was getting phone calls. I was getting phone calls here a couple months ago, and there was high-level insiders, folks. High-level insiders were telling me, Alex, how come you hadn't got out of here yet?" There's, he's gotten into the game of fear-mongering this thing happening as well now. So that right there should alleviate all fears that you have of anything happening September 23rd or whenever it was. If you have any fear whatsoever, any slightest bit of worry about this at all, let me put that fear at ease for you right now, ladies and gentlemen, because if Alex Jones is promoting this, you can almost guarantee with on a 99.9% certainty it's total bullshit. It is nothing gonna happen. If you don't believe me, go listen to the shit that he was fear-mongering at Y2K. I mean, it's the most ridiculous shit you've ever heard. Some religious leaders believe that because this is the fourth consecutive lunar eclipse since April 2014, it is part of a tetrad. Oh, I hate pop-ups. Which foretells a meteorite destroying Earth in the end of time. So, again, all this stuff is always coming from religious groups. Here's another one. So the Mormons are now getting in on this action as well, it appears. Great. This is the month it will all happen. Some Mormons are cleaning out Utah stores in preparation for a September doomsday. Fasten your seatbelts. If some Mormons are right, it's going to be a bumpy September. A perfect storm of Bible prophecies, the Hebrew calendar, the stock market jitters, a blood moon, and an author who claims to have had a near-death experience are all convincing plenty of Utah Mormons that the end is near, reports the Salt Lake Tribune. A store in American Fork, Utah, that sells freeze-dried goods says that business has skyrocketed in the past couple of months. Oh, come on. Why are you being so geeky? There's a sense of urgency like something is up. A lot of people are mentioning things about September like a financial collapse, customer service representative Ricardo Aranda told the outlet. It's the same deal over at Emergency Essentials in Bountiful, where salesman Jordan Jensen said that 72-hour emergency kits are flying off the shelves. Customers think that this month it will all happen with a blood moon and a currency collapse and everything. And of course, yeah, because these same fucking fearmongers and these people out there they whip up these frenzies every time. And they do this to line their own pockets, their own coffers, and to sell their preparedness products. And, I very easily could have gotten into that whole game. I could have made the decision, folks. At one point in my career, I was in a position where I could have been at the tip-top tier, and I could have sold out and very easily been, I could be doing that. It's a conscious decision. And that's what these guys do. They fearmonger people in order to sell products. And, when nothing happens and it's all over, No one ever holds these clowns accountable. Nobody ever runs them out of town on a fucking rail like they should do. They just get to keep going, and they do it again the next time because, you may not get the same suckers to buy into it next time, but guess what? There's a lot of people out there, so you'll get some other suckers to buy into it the next time. That's what they do with this. And I'm sick and tired of it, and I'm sick and tired of these people who fearmonger crap. They make everybody else, legitimate researchers, get lumped in with this. And this is a constant theme. How many times do they do this? They do all this ridiculous crap. They did it with 2012. I was telling everybody over and over again, look, September, 2012, it's not going to be anything. And you have people like, David Wilcock, underline the word cock in that dude's name for sure. I don't know why there's idiots out there that still think that guy should have been ran out of town on a fucking rail. He was the worst fearmonger of 2012 that there was. He told over and over again to everybody, Opion shoved out, it's going to be cataclysm, everybody's going to die, billions of people, blah, blah, blah. He fearmongered that shit, and then when nothing happened, it was like his career got a notch up for it. Like, instead of him being laughed out of town and having no credibility, he seemed to elevate. Seemed to start appearing on more TV shows after that. So, again, this goes to show you this agenda. And how they put money into these people who just conveniently are able to fearmonger. I've noticed that trend. The people who fearmonger and back up the accepted conspiracy theories, those people get up to the top. But the people who exposed the much wider picture and expose those like myself, I expose people who are, seem to be involved, or the good guys, but are actually working for the same powers they claim to be against. That's the number one reason why they've tried to keep me suppressed. I mean, the people over at Coast to Coast AM, when I first went on there, they were like, we can't even believe this. We love you. You're incredible. You should have been being on this show for years. How come we're just now hearing about you? And I said, well, go watch my films, go listen to some of the stuff I've talked about, and you'll see why you never heard it, because, they aren't going to allow somebody like me and the things that I talk about to be in any kind of big public arena. Absolutely not. And every time I do get an opportunity to do that, they do their goddamnedest to try and sabotage it somehow. Every single time. Because people can't wrap their minds around the fact that all of these, and I probably would have never have learned it either had I not. I can't say that. I probably would have learned it eventually, but I probably would have never learned about, what are supposedly or what appear to be people's revolutions or grassroots movements springing up from the people, but are oftentimes fronts for operations that are funded from the top down. The 60s peace movement comes to mind. Even the punk rock movement has that. I'll be covering that in the Spellcasters Volume 2. But all of these grassroots movements start up, and they appear to be grassroots movements, but oftentimes, a lot of the times, like Greenpeace and others, they're actually government-funded operations or being funded by the Central Intelligence Agency or whoever it may be in order to serve the larger agenda. And I'm grateful that it only took me a couple of shows of doing radio back in 2007 to have Peter Del Scala and learn about this and learn, start learning about the CMP and finding all these people that were connected to the Patriot movement, the Truth movement, people that were on Alex Jones's show, and people that are on all these other, people I had seen. Paul Craig Roberts and Jerome Corsi and all these people. And I said, wait a minute, they're a member of this secretive group that's more powerful than the Council for National Policy or the Council on Foreign Relations or the Bilderberg Group or anything like that, the Trilateral Commission. And we're being told over here that by people like Alex Jones, these are people we need to listen to, and these are people who are on our side. Wait a minute, something doesn't add up here. And that's when I realized, I mean, that was traumatizing. It wasn't, people talk about it sometimes it's traumatizing for people to wake up to this stuff. To me, waking up to this stuff is not traumatizing. Waking up to this stuff and then realizing that what you woken up to is a fraud too, on top of that, is pretty traumatizing. You realize, wait a second. I thought this was the real deal. That happened to me. It was depressing. Because I had been onto this stuff for years. And I went searching for other people that were into it like I was. But then to find out that that's just another box, another trap waiting for you to catch you. And it started to become real apparent to me because, you start to see these. You can always tell when you start to have these. A research, an outside of the box research community should be exactly that. But when you start to see it actually become this, reservation, and anything that goes off of that reservation is considered, taboo or not a part of the club. And I experienced that very early on. Because I've always been about, hey, if you do the research, you find out that all these topics, when people try to put separation in topics, it's silly. And that happens a lot. And I see, I get invited to these different events and stuff. But, you have the UFO crowd, you've got the Bigfoot crowd, the cryptozoological crowd, you've got the paranormal crowd, the conspiracy crowd, you've got the New Ager crowd. You've got all these, segregated groups within conspiracy research or whatever. And everybody, a lot of the people in these groups, it's like self-segregation. They, oftentimes these people, they don't see the forest for the trees. They get, or 9/11, 9/11's a big one. People get stuck on 9/11. They can't see the forest for the trees. And that's what and I believe that's why they left so many breadcrumbs and little things for people to latch onto at 9/11. They did that with intent. They broadcast that stuff out over national TV the way they did for a reason. Because it's a hamster wheel. You get hung up on it and you end up going on a big circle, round and round, getting nowhere. Circular argument after circular argument. I mean, the bottom line, I simply on 9/11, my post on Facebook simply said this. It said, never forget, because, you see people saying that, never forget. And I said, never forget you were lied to about 9/11. No need for argument, no need for discussion, no need to state facts. You were lied to about it, period. And that's the most important thing for everybody to realize. But what we started to see was this thing where everybody was starting to becoming arguing over the minutia of it. And, this person's this, and this person's a fed, and this person's a spook, or whatever, because this person, doesn't believe my pet theory about 9/11. It just became this thing where, wait a minute, this is not what this is supposed to be about. This is completely a detriment. And you started to see that it was certain groups pushing these things. And that's what they do, folks. They push these things to divide people so you can't see the forest for the trees. And so you get focused and stuck on one issue. And no matter what topic it is, it's all relevant. It all connects together. There's so many small-minded people out there that can't accept that fact that as soon as you want to talk about another topic, they start to get uncomfortable with it. And that used to happen to be a lot on a lot of the other, you get certain people that think that, I was criticized. People didn't like the fact that I exposed Alex Jones and exposed the Council for National Policy. And the reason they didn't like that is because a lot of their sponsors and a lot of their hosts and guests were associated with this group. So, of course, they're going to come after me and not like me because I'm the guy talking about it. And, it's the same old thing. And these people, this is why I've been exposing the priest class, the religious end of the conspiracy that is working behind the scenes to use the supposed truth movement as a cover for their own agendas. And you got white supremacist groups that are doing that. You got religious groups that are doing it. But really, at the end of the day, if you research it, they're all in bed together. They're all one and the same. The white nationalists and the religious right. No, their guys are all the same. They're recruiting it for. They're using it, and they've been using the conspiracy and the truth movement as a front to recruit people for what they believe is the coming race war, straight out of the Turner Diaries. That's why they hijacked the 9/11, movement and all of that stuff. Because I've told you a million times up here, folks. When I first started getting to research this, there was none of this like survival stuff or we got to have guns and the Constitution and we're doing this to stand up for America and all this. None of that was around. And I started noticing that after 9/11 and after the 9/11 conspiracy truth movement stuff started happening, that all of a sudden guns started coming into the issue. And all of a sudden, almost everybody in all these shows were, having conversations that sounded like, something out of Soldier of Fortune magazine or something. And I went, wait a second, this is not, what is this? That's when I first became suspicious of the quote-unquote truth movement, conspiracy movement. Even before I was on air, I started to become suspicious of it when I started noticing that armed conflict and weapons and all this stuff, and I was like, wait a second here. Something's odd with this. This has never been anything that's ever been a part of the conversation. And it wouldn't be unless someone has an agenda for it to be. But I mean, they've been working on this for years. Because it's a way that they can rope in the people who have actually seen through the veil and figured this out. They want to get people all in one big group that they can then sell to the rest of the general public that doesn't research the fact that these people who are into this stuff are dangerous, they're terrorists, whatever it may be. And of course, they've really continued to do that. Think about how many, folks, how many terror drills and whatnot and stuff that there's been just since I've been doing my radio show. There's been tons of them. And I started noticing when they first started talking about Jade Helm, I started noticing that something stank about it. It seemed that there was some sort of agenda to push it. And, I kind of figured it was the standard thing that Jones always does. Anytime there's any kind of these military drills, everybody starts hollering false flag and all the rest of this stuff. But I noticed something different about this Jade Helm thing because you started seeing it pop up in popular culture. You know what I mean? You saw people like, what's that fucking liberal Jew cocksucker's name? Jon Stewart. I hate that son of a bitch. I don't even see how you could like him even if you were a left-winger. I just don't know how anybody likes that guy. But I could see he was bringing it up and calling everybody from Texas kooks and crazies and everything, Just a real cocksucker. You heard me, didn't you, Jon Stewart? You're a cocksucker. Is he doing like wrestling, WWF wrestling or some shit right now? I'd like fucking 2 minutes in a fucking broom closet with that motherfucker. One of us would come out wearing a broom in our ass, and it wouldn't be me, I'll tell you that. But when I started noticing that late night talk shows and people on TV were starting to bring up this thing, that's when I realized, okay, this is an operation. This is a way that they attempt to discredit anyone who is looking into the alternative news or the alternative narrative that's being spun for us by the mass media machine. Remember Jade Helm 15, the controversial military exercise? It's over. The military exercise Jade Helm 15 generated enough conspiracy theories this year that it garnered mockery on late-night television, commentary from presidential candidates, and reaction from the Texas governor. The basic thrust of the concerns: the military was laying the groundwork for martial law, if not now, then sometime in the future. The exercise will end quietly Tuesday, however, carried out in parts of Texas, Mississippi, Louisiana, and Florida. It will continue after 2 months of operations. It will conclude after 2 months of operations, said Suzanne Nagel, a spokeswoman for Army Special Operations Command, which it oversaw. At this time, we do not have any lessons learned to share, since we have not yet conducted an after-action review of the exercise, but we do believe the exercise overall was a success. As initially detailed in planning documents, the exercise was to include elite service members from 4 military branches. It eventually was reduced to include 200 special operations forces and an additional 300 support personnel for most of the exercise, with about 700 members of the Army's 82nd Airborne Division traveling to Texas to train as part of the Jade Helm for about 5 days in August. The story began garnering attention in March after planning slides for the exercise, likely prepared for government officials in Texas, began circulating online. They labeled Texas, Utah, and a section of Southern California as hostile territory, and New Mexico as uncertain territory leaning hostile. The military has routinely held training exercises like Jade Helm in the past, but this one took on a life of its own before it even began. An informational meeting attended by citizens and local government officials in Bastrop, Texas in April generated national attention after several people accused the federal government of preparing for a takeover. Texas Governor General Greg Abbott ordered the Texas State Guard, a militia he oversees, to monitor the exercise. He said he did so to address the concerns of Texans, but was mocked by some critics for giving voice to conspiracy theories. Notably, comedian Jon Stewart ripped Abbott by saying he was catering to Lone Star lunatics. Yeah, Lone Star. I love how, that's fucking rich coming from a fucking Jew. We always have to hear that from you fucking Jews. And I'm not one of these people that goes off on the Jews and stuff and talks about the Jew world order and all that crap. But I got to tell you, I'm offended as a Texan by somebody who belongs to a subsection of the population that bitches and complains and moans about being stereotyped and called names. I know I've heard Jon Stewart himself do that before. I know for a fact I have. Oh, you're just saying that because I'm Jewish, blah, blah, blah. Jews hoard money and this, that, and the other. And I love that. It's okay for him to call everyone in Texas a lunatic, a Lone Star lunatic. But if I say Jon Stewart is a, matzo ball soup eating, gold hoarding piece of Jew shit, I'm considered anti-Semitic. But he can say whatever he wants about me and anybody, we're all lunatics. Yeah, we're all lunatics, right? And see, again, this is the kind of thing you see. This wouldn't even be on TV. They wouldn't be talking about this. Again, how many other conspiracy theories and topics of discussion have we all been discussing all these many years, and none of it gets this kind of mainstream media attention? But all of a sudden, this happens. I mean, we've had a million of these happen. There's never, Jon Stewart's never talked about them. Again, this is another indicator, ladies and gentlemen, that this is a massive psychological operation. That's what all of this stuff falls under the guise of. You're going to be seeing a lot of that in my film, The Spellcasters. That's really what my film, The Spellcasters, deals with as a whole overall, is psychological operations, mind control, and all the facets of that, and how Hollywood is used for that, and the whole shebang. And also we get into, the truth movement people and how they do that, and then show their connection to Scientology. One big, massive psychological operation. And so that's, when you start to see these kind of things happen, I saw this happening back, I remember when Alex Jones first had on Charlie Sheen. All of a sudden, Charlie Sheen's on TV talking about 9/11 truth, and then Rosie O'Donnell starts talking about it, and I said, here we go. They're going to get these celebrities that are easy to discredit. They can, Charlie Sheen's past, he's easy to discredit. Rosie O'Donnell, her craziness and her lesbianism and all that stuff. I mean, it's always associated with people that are easy to discredit. And I remember saying that, and people telling me I was crazy. I was saying, yeah, here it is, here it goes. Because people were on my case saying, oh, it's a good thing. Why don't you like the fact that Rosie O'Donnell's talking about 9/11 truth? You ought to be happy about that. You're into that stuff. Why aren't you happy she's talking about it? You don't like her because she's a lesbian? What's wrong with Charlie Sheen talking about 9/11 truth? You don't like Charlie Sheen? You don't like Major League? You don't like Red Dawn? You don't like Ferris Bueller's Day Off? What's wrong with him talking about 9/11? You ought to be happy about it. He's talking about 9/11 truth. You're into that stuff. You should be happy he's talking about it. No. Because they're doing it to take the piss out of it and to negate it in the eyes of the public. Wake up, people. That's why they allow these UFO shows and Monster Hunter shows and all this stuff on cable. That's why they become popular. It's because they're doing it to take away people from going to sources of information like myself for these things. That's why do you think over the past 4 or 5 years there's been an increase in shows like Ancient Aliens and conspiracy shows, Jesse Ventura, all this stuff? They've had no choice but to start creating shows like this in the mainstream media so that they can divert attention and divert viewers and listeners away from real grassroots individuals like myself who are not bought and paid for by the corporate structure, because we started kicking their ass in a large way. And boy, they had to shut that down and start putting their own, disinformation shows on their media outlets. That's really what all that came from. All right, let's see what else we got. Oh, bear with me here. Trying to go through the stack. Air Force wants owners to give up property near secret Area 51. The U.S. Air Force is giving an ultimatum to owners of a remote Nevada property that over time has been surrounded by a vast bombing range, including the super secret Area 51. They're being told to take a $5.2 million last best offer for their property by Thursday, or the government will seize it through condemnation. The owners include descendants of a couple who lost their hardscrabble mining enterprise after the Air Force moved in the 1940s. Nuclear tests then began in 1951. Their mine mill mysteriously exploded in 1954, and they ran out of money to seek reparations from the government in 1959. Family representatives say they'll reject the deal, at least for now. Air Force officials are calling it a matter of national security. There's something there. And again, I've been out there, so I know there's not much out there, and people aren't really living that much out there in those areas. People who, if somebody's got that land, they're wanting to hang on to it, they're wanting to hang on to it for a reason. And if the government wants it that bad, yeah, there's probably some secret underground tunnel or base or something on this, and their family has known about it. They've tried to keep it in their family, keep the government from taking it. But that's pretty much par for the course. Space prospecting, how Planetary Resources selects its asteroid mining targets. The world might not have flying cars or hover boots quite yet, but if you need proof of how far humanity has come technologically, just remember that asteroid mining is a total thing now. Planetary Resources, the world's first and foremost asteroid mining organization, has already embarked on a mission to hunt down space rocks and extract the precious metals they contain. It sounds like science fiction, but preparations are underway as we speak. Yeah, over 10 years ago, they passed worldwide treaties and laws saying that any material that is mined in space, for instance, Titan, it's full of oil and natural gas. Anything that they get and bring to Earth from some other source out in space, there's a worldwide treaty and law that was passed where it can't be taxed by any government or anything else. That means these mining companies and energy companies are going to be able to mine and extract resources in space that they will then bring and sell down to the general public without there being any tariff or any fee or anything. I mean, it's a cash cow. And yeah, as they said here in the article, it's not science fiction. This stuff has been coming for quite some time now. The thing is, plucking an asteroid from the void is drastically more complicated than panning for gold in a creek. You can't just point a telescope at the sky, spot a shiny rock in the distance, and shout, "Let's go get it." As you hop into your spaceship, mining in space requires far more planning, far more strategy, and a hell of a lot more research than mining here on Earth. Therefore, Planetary Resources has developed a very thorough process for prospecting in space, which we've detailed in the paragraphs below. If you're an aspiring asteroid miner, now would be a good time to bust out your notebook. So yeah, this stuff is very much real, and over the next 5 to 10 years, you're going to start to see a lot of this stuff happening. Iridium is a big one that they want. Helium-3 is the other big one they want. And of course, all the other precious metals, platinum and all that stuff. This is hilarious. Homeopathy conference ends in chaos after delegates take hallucinogenic drug. So a bunch of holistic hippies took some sort of hallucinogen and chaos broke out. This is hilarious. An alternative medicine conference has ended in chaos in Germany after dozens of delegates took an LSD-like drug and started suffering from hallucinations. Broadcaster NDR described the 29 men and women staggering around, rolling in a meadow, talking gibberish, and suffering severe cramps. Ugh, cramps. What kind of fucking hallucinogens making you have cramps? Jesus Christ. More than 150 medical staff, ambulances, and police descended on the scene and took the raving delegates to the hospital. The patients aged 24 and 56 were found suffering from delusions, breathing problems, racing hearts, and cramps, and some in serious condition. Tests on their blood and urine revealed they had all taken hallucinogenic drug 2CE, which is known as aqua rust in Germany, has been illegal there since the end of last year. I remember that stuff. You could buy that stuff off the internet as a research chemical legally. No one recovered sufficiently to be interviewed by police until Monday. Yeah, they needed a couple of days to recover. Nah, you got to give us another day. We're still fucked up on this shit. I just think that's hilarious. This is supposed to be some holistic health conference. And what ends up happening, they end up all getting fucked up on a chemical. Would have been different if they were all eating shrooms or something and, a bunch of people freaked out. But no, that wasn't the case. A homeopath, talk about the fucking hypocrites. Jesus. Homeopathic, all natural shit. You guys are eating chemicals to get fucked up on? Something wrong with that picture. I hope it was some good shit. Could humans accidentally send aliens a computer virus? Scientists warn of dangers of interstellar spam. Oh, come on, really? Humans can accidentally spam aliens or send them dangerous computer viruses in a bid to make contact. What? Researchers at Oxford University have warned. This really? Oxford University? I mean, just that one sentence. That's one sentence of this article, and already I can't go any further because it doesn't make any sense how that's even possible. Because for that to even be remotely possible, that would mean that these alleged aliens were using similar computers, similar hardware. They would have to have similar operating systems. I mean, really? I find this hard to believe that these were actual scientists from Oxford who said that humans could accidentally spam aliens or send them dangerous computer viruses in a bid to make contact. Researchers at Oxford University have warned. I mean, that is the most retarded thing I've ever heard. Some human might accidentally send a spam email to an alien and cause havoc. Jesus, we need to find some way to stop that from happening. What? Was there some fucking aliens running around running Windows or running, Mac OS? Come on. Those aliens got Gmail now, huh? Yeah, that Jesus on fucking Google, I tell you what, they're fucking everywhere. Well, we got a crashed UFO the other day. I'll be goddamn, they were fucking running Gmail in there. Good God, I couldn't even fucking believe it about shit myself. Oh, it's the craziest thing, yeah. You guys were looking at Google and everything. I mean, are they really saying that humans could accidentally send spam to or dangerous computer viruses to aliens in a bid to make contact? That's just retarded. The classic example of a message would be a series of pulses which show binary numbers, DNA, a sketch of the solar system, or number of humans. But it turns out there are some security problems. Languages can hide a lot of information. We're worried about malware being sent to aliens. This is retarded. This is absolutely... I can't even believe this is in the goddamn news. I can't even believe Oxford University... I thought that was supposed to be a prestigious university. So this prestigious university sitting around wondering about whether or not we might accidentally send malware to some aliens? Well, they obviously then they must know something that we don't know. Are they trying to tell us that aliens walk among us and they're, they've got phablets and phones and MacBooks? No, I'd sooner believe that. They should have just come out and said that. It would have been more believable, wouldn't it? More impressive, too. Oxford University says there are aliens living among us, and we may stir shit up with them by accidentally sending them, spamming them, donkey porn. Jesus Christ, whatever you do, don't spam the fucking aliens with fucking donkey porn. It'll cause them to go crazy on us. But really, we might that's the most asinine thing I've ever heard. Accidentally sending a virus or malware to an alien through email. Aliens in Zeta Reticuli have got fucking Google and the World Wide Web. You bet your fucking sweet ass they do. This shit's gone universal now. I'm sorry, that's tarded. You get our tarded award for the week. You, sir, are tarded. Don't you want to say that to some people sometime? And I know I do all the time. People out in public, I just want to go up to them and go, sir, you are tarded. You have a good day. Walk away. They just stand there with their mouth open. They don't even respond. They can't get mad because they can't believe someone just said that to them. Try that sometime. Try it. You'll laugh your ass off. It's even better if you can get a friend to film it for you. But if you see somebody, next time you see somebody being retarded out in public or just being asinine or being a douche, just do it in a loud voice like that. You go, sir, you are tarded. Walk away. Speaking of tarded, as I told you earlier, I don't ever get on the fear-mongering bandwagons and fear, doom and gloom, shit's going down. We're all going to die. Once you realize that every single thing on this planet, including you and everything else, eventually is going to die, it becomes very, very difficult to worry about, what faggotry is going on with fear-mongering, whatever new event. But I tell you what, I've always said, if I see a threat and if I think something is a possible legitimate threat, no fear, no overhyping, I will get up here and tell you. And I tell you what, I don't very rarely use, and we all know things are, we all know things are shit, but, it's still, when you go out in the world, things are still day to day. The world's still turning. It's still going on. We're still here, right now. So, yes, there's a lot to be concerned with, but we have a lot to be positive about too. If you're alive and breathing right now, right here, hearing the sound of my voice, then you should celebrate the fact that you are alive. And the fact that you've made it this far. You know me, I don't dwell in the negative. Not until I'm forced to. But I saw this and it made me utter those words I never like to utter. And I'm going to utter them again now. When I read this, I pretty much came to the conclusion that we here, if you're one of my fellow Americans, we are absolutely, positively fucked. We're fucked. And you could say, well, of course we're fucked. We've been fucked for a long time, Josh. Well, maybe not. I would argue, from my perspective, that, yes, you could say for a long time, well, yeah, we've been fucked, whatever, okay. But listen to this, folks. 1/3 of Americans would be fine with the military taking over. 43% of Republicans would support a military coup. Folks, when I read that, nothing has put the fear or the scare in me that I've ever read or researched or discovered or anything else with many years of working into this field and researching this field. Nothing has scared the fucking bejesus out of me worse than that. Because it shows just how ignorant people are to history, not even ancient history, recent history, in the past 50, 25, 100 years. Look at every country historically that has had a military takeover. Look at Salvador Allende. Look at Chile. Anytime you have a military takeover, folks, a lot of people die. A lot of people die for no good goddamn reason. Probably the worst thing that can happen in your country is for there to be a military takeover. Now you have people in the United States that are so brainwashed and so disillusioned by the lies they're fed that they would get behind a military takeover. And that's... A lot of these are people who are just flat tired of Obama. That's what is even more sad about this. A lot of these right-wingers would rather live in a military dictatorship than to live under Obama. And right, left, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter, because eventually all of you fuckers are going to get your wish. And that's what disturbs me. The fucking right-wingers that want their military takeover and their theocratic religious rule, they're going to get it. The left-wingers that want their Bernie Sanders Marxist utopia bullshit, they're going to get it too. And you know what? I'm one of those minorities that doesn't want either one of those things. I don't want what the left wants, and I don't want what the right wants. I just want to live as a free individual and a free human on this planet and live my life in the way I see fit and go through my life not hurting anyone. I've never hurt anyone. I've never, I don't want to bother anybody. But see, they don't want that. They want you to pick one of their bullshit sides. And there is no side. There's only them and us. That's it. And there's way too many of us that want to be one of them because the people have allowed themselves to believe that the powers that be are the winning team. Well, fuck that. Blame the 2016 Republican presidential candidates, cough, Donald Trump, cough, or the recent stock market meltdown or Americans' general conviction that the country is going to hell, but a recent poll showed that 1/3 of U.S. citizens aren't satisfied with their government. In fact, 30% would support a military takeover. The Guardian reports. The numbers come from a YouGov survey, which polled 1,000 people online. The exact question asked was, quote, is there any situation in which you could imagine yourself supporting the U.S. military taking over the powers of the federal government? Interestingly, Republicans were twice as likely as Democrats to say yes to the question. 43% of Republicans said they could imagine supporting a military coup, while only 20% of Democrats, 40% of 3% of those Republicans would support it if a Democrat was in office. Now, ask them that same question when their Republican candidate is in office, and you'll see those numbers dwindle. Right? Because that's the only reason. Again, that's the only reason they want to support this. And that's, again, the phony left-right divide and conquer political spectrum thing. It continues to keep us in a box and continues to keep us divided against each other so we don't unite against them. And that is the goal. To keep us angry, keep us pissed off, and keep us divided. And you know what? It works. And I don't think anybody, myself included, has a solution for it other than to, try to continue to educate people and to show them the evidence, which should be voluminous and very obvious to everybody by now, but for some reason it isn't, that both sides of the political spectrum, left and right, are serving the same corporate globalist interests, and they're there to serve each other. And to make sure that no matter who is in office, left or right, no matter who's in power, at the end of the day, just like, doesn't matter what fighter fights at the end of the day or who wins. The promoter, the people putting on the fight. Same thing, the house always wins, folks. That's what it's all about. We're going to leave it there for tonight. Hey, don't forget my Etsy shop, Let There Be Rocks. You can find links up to that at my website and also on our Global Reality Facebook page. We're having 20% off this month. We've got a lot of crystals, gemstones, rings, pendants. We've got every kind of amazing crystal and gemstone you can imagine. We got a lot of new stuff in, more new stuff coming in, all kinds of rare crystals. 20% off this month for Global Reality listeners for our 8-year anniversary with the coupon code Global Reality at checkout. So check out our Let There Be Rocks Etsy page. You can find that up on Facebook and use the coupon code Global Reality at checkout. It's one word, Global Reality. And get yourself something nice. It'd be awesome, if you don't want to make a cash donation, hey, go buy a bunch of stuff out of there. It'd be awesome if we could just get everybody out there in our listening audience to just clean out that Etsy shop this month, buy every item out of that, and hell, we'd be good for a while. But if you don't want to do that, go to my website, theglobalreality.com. Please put in a contribution today. Your mission is to put something in that chip-in banner, that 8-year anniversary banner. It's on the right-hand side of theglobalreality.com. Your mission today is put something in that. Doesn't matter how big it is, how small it is. If it's big, that's even better. But hey, get in the running. Support our work. We need it badly. And you can also go to our Amazon.com wish list and get something off there. We've always got something there we need for filmmaking, radio shows, the rest of it. But we need your help and we need your support right now. We'll be back tomorrow, folks. You guys have yourselves a great one. I'm Josh Reeves. Take care.